Our case today takes us to Texas, specifically to the sprawling city of Dallas. In this vibrant city, the fractured Battaglia family is revealed. This story involves John Battaglia, Mary Jean Pearl, and their daughters Faith and Liberty. Before delving into John Battaglia's complexities, let's focus on the mother and her children. Mary, a devoted and loving mother, found joy in raising her daughters, who were 9 and 6 years old at the time. Faith, the elder sister born in 1992, defied traditional norms as a self-proclaimed tomboy who despised pink and avoided blood. Liberty, born in 1995, was a stark contrast, embracing her role as the perfect daughter, enjoying dressing up, playing with Barbie dolls, and performing dances for her mother. Despite their different preferences, the sisters maintained a harmonious relationship, displaying courtesy and kindness to those around them. Both attended John Braillefield Elementary School in Highland Park, a wealthy suburb of Dallas, where their personalities shone in school photos. Liberty radiated girlish charm, with hands on her hips in a pink dress, while Faith took a more casual stance in a loose red t-shirt with short sleeves. Despite the family's outward calm appearance, they harbored a troubled past. Mary Jean Pearl, the dedicated mother, was also a successful antique dealer. Unfortunately, the narrative takes a dark turn when John Battaglia enters the scene. Despite their initial love, John and Mary's marriage collapsed, leading to a divorce in 1999. John's complex personality was shaped by his upbringing. Born in 1955 to a military family, he was raised in Alabama, Texas, Washington, D.C., Oregon, and New Jersey. His father, John Battaglia Sr., enforced strict discipline through physical punishment, creating an environment where compliance was crucial, enforced by belts and aggression. As a child, John faced the challenges of frequent relocations. Despite his harsh upbringing, he retained a love for his mother, Julia, who later succumbed to her mental struggles, leading to her confinement in a mental institution in 1972. Struggling with depression, she turned to alcohol as a coping mechanism, leaving young John to grapple with her absence. John's journey took various turns, from touring with bands to military service, modeling, and eventually earning an accounting degree. His marriage to Mary was not his first. A previous union with Michelle Getty resulted in a daughter named Christy. However, this marriage ended in 1987, paving the way for a complex web of relationships and events that would unfold in the Battaglia family's story. After his first marriage ended, John took on the role of a caring father to his daughter, and his path intersected with Mary Jean Pearl, leading to their union on April 6, 1991. Initially, John presented charming and polite behavior, but this facade hid a darker reality. Over the next 8 years, the couple welcomed 2 daughters into their lives, Faith in 1992 and Liberty in 1995. From an outsider's perspective, the family seemed content with their life in Highland Park, but behind closed doors, challenges in John and Mary's relationship emerged. After the wedding, John underwent a noticeable transformation, becoming irritable, prone to shouting, and sometimes raising his fist. Although he initially refrained from physical violence, his behavior escalated over the years to include belittling and manipulating Mary constantly. Despite these difficulties, Mary tried to maintain family cohesion, especially after Liberty's birth. John, diagnosed with bipolar disorder, exhibited behavior that swung between deep affection and bouts of yelling. Despite the contradictions, John managed to hide his abusive behavior from those around him, presenting a different face to the world. One significant aspect of this troubling dynamic was John's dual nature. While he subjected Mary to abuse, he never displayed violent behavior in front of their daughters, who seemed to be his pride and joy. To outsiders, including Mary, John appeared devoted to his daughters, showering them with support and affection. Despite her insecurities, Mary believed her daughters were safe in their father's care, unaware of the looming danger. Over time, Mary had to defend herself and confronted John, only to face severe repercussions. The turning point came during Christmas in 1999 when the festive season took a dark and violent turn. On Christmas Eve, John attacked Mary in front of all their children, leaving her covered in wounds and bruises. The girls begged him to stop, prompting Mary to report the incident to the police and file for divorce the next day. Despite John's guilty plea to misdemeanor assault, receiving 2 years of probation, and being prohibited from living with Mary, he retained visitation rights to his daughters. The weekly visits, babysitting, and unsupervised interactions continued at Mary's home while John's troubling history remained hidden. Unaware of the depth of John's capabilities and ignorant of his dark past, Mary continued to believe in his love for their daughters and his commitment to their well-being, even when the truth lay hidden beneath the surface. The reasons for Michelle's divorce from John were far from rational. Months of physical abuse and harassment led her to file multiple arrest requests. John's violent tendencies were far from secret. He attacked Michelle outside their daughter's school, breaking her nose. The brutality escalated when Michelle filed for divorce, enraging John. Upon learning about the divorce, he attacked her severely, resulting in her hospitalization and intervention by the authorities. Despite this, the damage was done. John pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge and began a 2-year probation period before abandoning his wife and daughter cruelly in search of new victims. John's marriage to Michelle ended in 1987, and shortly after, Mary Jean Pearl entered the picture. Although John's violent history was apparent, Mary didn't fully realize it until she filed her report. Despite probation instructions prohibiting John from contacting Mary, he persisted, threatening to escalate harassment unless she canceled the probation. Eventually, Mary realized the promise was short-lived. During Easter 2001, Mary gifted her daughter a $50 gift card, prompting John to leave a toxic message accusing her of manipulating their daughter's college fund. Simultaneously, John began publicly berating Mary in front of colleagues, portraying himself as an innocent father unfairly separated from his daughters. However, John's bizarre facade crumbled over the next 2 years, foreshadowing an eruption of hatred in a terrifying and unexpected manner. In May 2001, John's life took a dark turn as he increasingly violated probation, engaged in public drunkenness, and used marijuana. His continuous harassment of Mary led the police to instruct him to surrender. Instead of complying, John chose to see his daughters Faith and Liberty, secretly while staying at Adam Hatt's loft apartments in Dallas. Unaware of the escalating danger, Mary seized the opportunity to relax and went to a friend's house for dinner, a routine she had followed several times before. Unfortunately, this evening would take an unimaginable turn. After 2 hours, Mary received a phone call from her youngest daughter, crying and asking why she wanted their father to go to jail. Distressed, Mary instructed her 6-year-old to run to safety. The subsequent events were beyond imagination. Following Mary's plea, she heard gunshots over the phone. 2 shots followed by 5 more, followed by a horrifying silence. John then coldly said, "Merry Christmas," referencing the day Mary reported him to the police. This call marked a terrifying moment for Mary, as she realized her daughters were in grave danger. She immediately called 911, and officers faced a complex situation, suspecting John might be armed. Once given the green light, medical personnel rushed to the scene but tragically declared Faith and Liberty dead. Investigators discovered 16 firearms throughout the property, indicating John's malicious intent. He hadn't gathered them for self-defense. He orchestrated a heart-wrenching act of revenge. With John nowhere to be found, he had fled the scene after leaving a chilling voicemail expressing his twisted affection for his daughters. He was quickly tracked to a local tattoo parlor, where he was getting a memorial rose tattoo on his left arm muscle, symbolizing the daughters he had brutally murdered. Upon discovery, a violent confrontation with officers ensued outside the salon, leading to John's arrest. The community, devastated by the news, struggled to comprehend his horrific actions. In custody, John's motives became clear: an act of revenge against Mary for reporting him to the police. The community rallied around Mary, offering support during one of the most harrowing ordeals a mother could endure. Faith and Liberty's funeral was held shortly after, and they were buried next to their grandfather in Hillcrest Cemetery. John was imprisoned until his trial began nearly a year later, in April 2002. As expected, John faced the most severe charges: 2 counts of capital murder. The jury took only 19 minutes to deliver a guilty verdict, resulting in a life sentence without parole. Because the crime occurred in Texas, John faced the death penalty. His defense argued that his bipolar disorder reduced his responsibility for the crimes, seeking to avoid the death penalty, but this appeal was swiftly rejected. 8 days after his conviction, John received a death sentence by lethal injection. Even his recently divorced ex-wife Michelle and their daughter Christy supported his execution, considering him irredeemable. John was held at the Polunsky unit near Livingston, known for its harsh conditions, awaiting execution, including 22 hours of daily solitary confinement. Over the next 16 years on death row, John conducted interviews, coldly discussing his reasons for killing his daughters and showing little remorse. He reflected on past crimes, including assaulting his first wife, Michelle, while maintaining a self-image as an excellent, loving father. John's execution was initially scheduled for March 30th, 2016, but faced multiple delays as he argued against his competency due to his mental state. Despite numerous rejections of these appeals, psychologists deemed John's ignorance deliberate. Finally, on February 1st, 2018, 15 years after the heinous act, John's execution date was set, marking the end of a lengthy legal process that spanned attempts to escape the consequences of his horrific actions.